Welcome back, Patriots. We have another great episode for you tonight, and some of the news that the fake news media just won't cover. We also changed our look for this episode. I hope you like it, and I would very much appreciate it if you let me know what you think of this new look in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel to show your support. For some additional support for our efforts, I would appreciate it if you guys can check out our originally designed t-shirts that's for sale. These will make great stocking stuffers for your fellow patriotic family members or friends. With all the business stuff out of the way, let's get to our news for today. So recently, Senator Ted Cruz proposed a bill to limit the number of terms for the members of Congress. Senators for 2 terms, so that'll be 12 years, 6 years each, right? And then 3 2-year term limit for the members of the House of Representatives. According to Senator Cruz, which I completely agree, he says, for too long, members of Congress have abused their power and ignored the will of the American people. He told the ABC News. Term limits on members of Congress offer a solution to the brokenness we see in Washington, D.C. It is long past time for Congress to hold itself accountable. I urge my colleagues to submit this constitutional amendment to the states for speedy ratification. So the way it works is both House and the Senate will have to pass this proposal 2/3. So 2/3 of Congress, both houses, will have to pass. And then they submit the passed resolution to all 50 states. And then out of all the 50 states, the 38 states will have to vote for it in order for this to be ratified. So if this does get ratified, it would become the 28th Amendment, where 27th Amendment was ratified in 1992. So a lot of the problems that we see, and we talk about deep state a lot these days, not just me, but a lot of the patriots on YouTube as well as elsewhere talk about deep state a lot. Deep state really was created by 2 things. One, a limitless serving time. There's unlimited number of terms a congressman or senators can serve in U.S. Congress, which many of them have been there for decades. They have become removed and they lost touch with the normal everyday American lives. Washington, D.C. is not a good representation of what America is like. And so they have lost their touch with the American people and America in general, and focused on preserving and keeping their power by just focusing on getting reelected again and again and again and again. So that's one reason. The other reason is the fact that the people who are, I guess for the lack of a better term, henchmen to these elected individuals who are getting elected unlimitedly, that now serve in various bureaucracies in DC, such as FBI and different departments. These are unelected officials, bureaucrats that were appointed by these elected officials, and they've also been there for decades, right? So there is a saying, proverb in Korea: if the standing water is guaranteed to spoil. So water will go bad unless it's flowing, right? So the swamp, the reason why swamp becomes a swamp, the dirty swamp, is because it's not a flowing river or a stream. You see, so swamp is a still water. It does not get recycled. That's why it rots to its cores. So a proposal of this term limit amendment to our Constitution is a long overdue but very welcomed one. This bill is also being co-sponsored by Senator Marco Rubio, Mike Lee, as well as David Perdue. So to our next item in the news is something that we really don't get here in the mainstream media. So Attorney General William Barr revealed that this administration, the Trump administration, is right now fighting to restart the federal executions and ready to take the matter to the Supreme Court if necessary. So what is he doing? So last time we had a federal execution was back in 2003, 16 years ago. There are 62 inmates right now on death row in federal prison awaiting for their execution. There were five of those inmates, people that are on death row, that were scheduled to be executed, put to death this month in December. But in November, last month, US District Judge Tanya Schutkin ruled that 4 of those 5 executions was going to be postponed. 1 was already postponed before that. So all 5 of the scheduled execution for this month, December of 2019, is now postponed indefinitely. The problem with that, and the AG Bill Barr is trying to rectify is some people would argue that this is completely unfair to the victims of these types of individuals, the victims of the crimes that these death row inmates had committed to be convicted and sentenced to death, right? So it's completely unfair to the victims of these crimes. Not only that, on the flip side, if you think about it from a different perspective, it's not really a fair or humane thing to do to these inmates either. They're already sentenced to death. They know the outcome. It just prolonging that inevitable outcome just isn't, in some ways, depending on how you look at it, could be very inhumane and unfair to the individuals themselves, the death row inmates. So kudos for Attorney General Barr on this, as well as the work he's doing right now to uncover the hidden agenda and conspiracies by the left of this Russian hoax, as well as election meddling back in 2016, as well as this impeachment, the fall impeachment that the left is trying to put another one over us as we speak. Here's another kind of a lighter news. So, I don't know anybody who has actually heard this news, but according to a new report by Power to Decide, an organization that educates and promotes birth control before getting pregnant. According to their report, says that 876 clinics, abortion clinics, have been defunded. They lost their funding. So this funding is called Title X funds by federal government. that funds all these medical clinics, not hospitals, but medical clinics around the country. And of the 876 clinics that have lost their funding, a significant number of them are the Planned Parenthood affiliates. So in order for the clinics, medical clinics, to receive Title X funding from federal government, they now must completely separate themselves from anything abortion. Okay, so they cannot have a abortion facility within their facility. They cannot even recommend getting an abortion unless it is a life endangering situation, such as, the pregnancy is threatening the life of the mother, and in those instances. Other than that, they can't even recommend abortion. The moment that they do, they lose their Title X funding. So what does this do? What this does is the Planned Parenthood and other abortion clinics, abortion focused clinics, have been taking year after year consistently up to $60 million per year for their abortion efforts, literally killing over 330,000. I'll say that again, 330,000 babies each year. So all those babies, not all of them, but at least the babies that would have been killed in those nearly 900 clinics, will now be saved, hopefully. And also the $16 million that were going to be funding, that would have funded the activity, would now be allocated to other more general medical services providing clinics. And these clinics are specifically designed to provide pre-pregnancy birth control, cancer screening, and other crucial medical services for the low-income women across the country. So in the recent poll, just to show you that this is the will of the people, is that in a recent poll, 54% of Americans have said that they oppose to any taxpayer funding to go to abortion, to pay for abortion, compared to 39% who are for taxpayer money going to the abortion efforts. Now on a sort of a disgusting, this was evil, and now we're going to move on to disgusting portion of today's news. Excuse me, my mouth was getting dry. So Weinstein is in the news again. So Harvey Weinstein, a former top Hollywood producer that was accused of many sexual misconduct, including up to rape, is coming to an agreement for settlement with his accusers. So that's not a hugely welcome thing, but that is the fact. And so there are 18 accusers that accuse Harvey Weinstein of various misconducts and criminal conducts, from just simple harassment all the way up to drugging and raping some of these accusers. Total settlement is actually $25 million, and of which is a lot of money, but when you think about the crime, it's really not in today's terms. But even that doesn't all go to these victims. Only $6.2 million of the $25 million is going to the victims. Each victim, no matter how severe the victim's accusation is, no one of those 18 victims will get anything more than $500,000. So 6.2 million total goes to the 18 of these accusers. 18.5 million dollars now goes to his class action suit, as well as the cases that are being investigated right now in New York's Attorney General's office. So if Judge approves this settlement, then he gets to pay $25 million, which none of the $25 million comes out of Harvey Weinstein's pocket. It actually will be paid by the insurance company that was insuring his company. Okay, so there's no money coming out of his pocket. His bankrupt company, it's bankrupt anyway, and these 18 victims who are due of this money, as well as others, they'll be part of the creditor group that are now seeking to get money from his company through bankruptcy. And then he will never have to admit his guilt for any of these accused cases. So, to me, it sounds like he's the winner out of this situation. Even though he claims that after this, he is seriously considering filing for a personal bankruptcy. He now shows up going to court and whatnot in a walker. I'm not really sure why he needs a walker all of a sudden, but he looks a lot more frail than before, and he's now using a walker to walk from his car into the building to go to depositions and his legal cases and things like that. To me, I don't know. In my opinion, he doesn't really need a walker. The way he dresses and he looks in these newer photos. I mean, he was a Hollywood producer, for God's sakes. He knows how to look sympathetic, right? Yeah, so that's the news on Weinstein. And if we're talking about Weinstein, we really can't not talk Jeffrey Epstein. So Jeffrey Epstein, the memes that reminds us of the suspicious circumstance of his death while he was in the federal prison, being held there, awaiting to be charged and for his trial. He just died mysteriously. Of course, it was ruled a suicide, but I think we all know that it was way too suspicious of a circumstance for us to just kind of take it on their word. There, in fact, is quite a bit of information and circumstantial evidence surrounding not only his death, but as well as his life and all the crimes, unspeakable crimes that he allegedly committed. So there are a lot of evidence, as well as many powerful individuals with much motive and things to gain by silencing this monster. I am actually conducting a thorough research into his life, as well as his suspicious death. I hope to kind of organize them and bring you a more big picture about his crimes as well as his death in the near future. So please look out for my future videos on Epstein's life as well as his death and his crimes. You gotta follow the money, right? So anyways, that's our news for today. Thank you, as always, for sticking with me till the end of this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe in order to show your support. Thank you. Until our next video, please Stay safe. And if I don't see you before then, happy holidays 2019. God bless you, and God bless our Republic.